Hi Gracie, it's your daddy. Today is June 21st, 2021. Yesterday was Father's Day. I didn't get to see you or talk to you. It's been a couple weeks since I again, for the 19th or 20th time in this last year, asked your mom through her attorney to speak with you or see you or talk to you on the phone or just something. I broke down a lot yesterday. I tried to make a video in the morning. I got interrupted, so I didn't get through it, but I wasn't doing well anyway. And I just don't want you to see me in as bad a shape as I am, both physically and emotionally. I just don't want to put that on you. But at the same time, I need to let you know that I'm really trying to be there for you. And what's hard for me is I know that your mom is not going to be telling you anything about me, but maybe try to even turn you against me as much as she can. Your mom scares me a lot, because she lies just incessantly, and what's worse about that is she comes up with more and more extreme versions of lies, and it's hard for me to hear them. Frankly, they make me very sick. I'm very disturbed by them. I don't know how a person thinks the way your mom thinks. I don't know how a mother says these things knowing her daughter will hear them, and probably a lot of that's intentional for you to hear. And what it's going to do to you is you're going to be left with a decision. I think I've talked about this before, of do you believe what your mom has said, and you believe your dad didn't love you? Or do you believe what your dad said, love me, and then feel worse about your mom? That's a choice that a little girl should not have to make. That's a choice that your mom's making, so unfortunately that leaves me with no choice but try to tell you the truth so you know I loved you, because I just think it's better that you know I loved you and feel what you have to about your mom, rather than think I'm a bad person and believe what your mom said. It's a terrible choice. I love you so much. Your mom loves you too in her own way. There's no reason you can't have both of us, two loving parents in your life, and have a good life, or at least the best you can have with two parents that aren't married or together. But I don't control your mom, and I just really hope that you understand that. I want you to understand that the courts are so messed up, there's really nothing I can really do. I can't even go back to family court until my criminal case is over, because they just won't listen to me. I've been told that by multiple attorneys, that if I go to court now, I'm not going to be able to see you. So the only way I have to see you is if your mom actually lets me, which she doesn't, because when I contact her attorney, I get no reply. She could easily let me talk to you on the phone. In fact, for a while in the very beginning, I was allowed to talk to you on the phone, but you were just a 2-year-old. You could barely understand English, so you didn't know what was going on at all. Now you're 4. We can certainly talk on the phone now, but your mom wants to create a gap between us that we never are able to overcome. And that's going to injure you bad. It injures me bad now. And I'm an adult, so I'm supposed to be able to handle it better, and I really can't. No matter what I'm supposed to be doing, I can't handle it. It's too much for me being away from you. It hurts me too much. the connection between a dad and a daughter is so strong. I was looking at pictures yesterday with you as a baby just laying on my chest smiling, and it broke me. Now I'm a pretty broken man from everything your mom has done to me at this point. Your mom putting me into jail, going to jail with no trial. It's bad, and I'm really having a hard time going on. And I don't think I'll do anything because I know I need to be there for you. But I just need you to understand how overwhelming this is and how hard it is. Most men wouldn't make it through this, most good men. Now, if you have a bad man, they don't care. You know, there's plenty of men out there who don't love their kids and don't pay any attention to them and don't really care about being with them. I'm not one of them. I'm about as far to the extreme as you can get. It just eats me up and makes me so sad and depressed not being with you. It has a profound effect on me emotionally and physically. And your mom knows this about me, and that's the reason she's been able to control me so badly. You know, I stay with your mom because out of a love for you, and I just couldn't be away from you. I'm going to use this video to kind of tell you what's going on with the court, because I know it's something you're going to be curious about. I felt the best way to do that was to look at a couple of the emails I recently sent to my attorney so he could kind of understand what's going on in the case. First thing I talked to him about in the first email was an incident that was the main incident brought up in family court. And that is a day in 2018. I think it's near the beginning of 2018. I don't really have it in front of me, so I don't really remember exactly, but I think it was near the beginning of 2018. I think. Anyway, your mom, I was watching you. You were just a little baby at the time. And I was laying on the floor with you, playing with you. And your mom came in the room. I don't think she said anything, but she just started immediately kicking the hell out of me. She kind of marched in, kicked the hell out of me. And I was like, I was caught off guard. No one would expect such a thing, even from her. And she had been abusing me already, but this attack was the most brutal attack she ever did against me. It was just, all her attacks are out of control, but this was with her feet, so it hurt more, and she had her shoes on. So, just kicking me in the stomach and the chest, I'm trying to cover up, and she's kicking me everywhere, even after I'm covering up. And I get out of there. That was always my natural inclination, to run. Whenever she would attack me, I would run as far as I could. Now, a couple times she cornered me, but when I could get away, I would get away. So I ran out of the room. And then, I was scared at that point, obviously. That's always my initial reaction, is fear. But then I was immediately out of the room. 10, 15 seconds later, I'm mad. I'm real mad. So she's already closed the door, and I didn't know this, but she had also locked it. So I go back to the room to find out what the heck is going on, and also in anger. And I try to open the door, it's unlocked. And I was furious. I started shouting, I want to see my daughter, and stuff like that. And I tried to break the door down. I leaned in real low with my shoulder and broke the door, put a hole in it. I didn't punch it. I rammed it with my shoulder very low in order to try to really force it open. It's a hollow door, so got a hole in it. As soon as I realized I put a hole in the door, I just stopped. I'm not a person who can really stay mad for very long at all. Not truly angry. I could stay upset for real hours and hours and hours, but just furious like that, that's like a few second thing. if it ever happens. So later learned, I don't know if it was the same day or that morning or another day, she was angry that I was laying on the floor with you. I guess, I don't know exactly what her understanding of that was or why that would piss her off so much, but I guess she equated it with being lazy and not properly taking care of you, I guess. I don't know how that is the case, but that was your mom's excuse or answer or thinking. So anyway, later in that day after she went to work, I suffer from panic attacks, and these panic attacks really started when all this abuse started with your mom. And I've been so traumatized by everything that I get these panic attacks even till today. And panic attacks are very unbearable. People think, oh, you panic for a few seconds and then you're better, but they go on all day. They go on all day. And for me, they even go on into the night. So I could start a panic attack in the morning and be in a total state of panic all the way through the night and not be able to sleep, which creates a lot of insomnia issues with me. So anyways, I was upset. So I threatened your mom not to come home. Stay 100 yards away from me or 100 feet away from me. Don't come near me again. I think in one of the very first texts, I explained she kicked the hell out of me and it was too much for me to take. I couldn't take it anymore. My thought process at the time, and there wasn't a lot of thought into it, it was all just, I was overwhelmed. I couldn't really take the abuse anymore. I'd been abused for a while, and just the severity of the attack was too much. My health was really in jeopardy at that point. That was, I don't remember exactly when I had the pulmonary embolism. It might have been around that time. It could have been before, it could have been after. I really don't remember. But my health was grave. By this point, she had made me bedridden. And she made me bedridden for almost 2 years in total. And this was kind of in the middle of it, since the abuse started beginning early, sometime in the spring of 2017, and this was like in the middle, sometime in the spring, I think, of 2018, I think. My only thought was this had to stop. It was killing me. It was literally, I really felt I was going to die. Your mom made me feel like I was going to die for a very, very long time. I woke up every day feeling like I was going to die. When you're under that much abuse, both physically and mentally, you really think you're going to expire. Now, I do worry about death now just because I've had the pulmonary embolism and I'm so sick. I really worry about being there for you. But there's a truck coming by. I'll have to wait a second here. So when we went to court, family court, your mom withheld most of those texts, and I didn't know this on the first day I went to court when they questioned me about it, but there were a bunch of these texts, screenshots of these texts that happened that day, and they only gave the family court judge about several pages of the text, and there were a couple dozen pages of the text. They kept put in the part where I threatened her, but they took out the parts of why I was threatening. They made it try to seem like threats were just for no reason. and there was no excuse to them. And I'm not saying there's a really good excuse for threatening anyone, but it's a good enough excuse that you're trying to basically save your life, or you're really in fear for your life, which I really was. I felt that if this abuse didn't stop, then my body was just going to give out. I was going to die. Whether that's rational or not, I think is pretty irrelevant. I think it was very real, though. Even today, even looking back, I'm pretty sure that if that would have continued, I would have not lived through it. Being bedridden, I was getting blood clots, and I'm certain that if this situation was going, I would have never made it to today. And today's 2 years later after the fact, 3 years after that incident. I would have never made it to today if that abuse has continued and I was still with your mom. I would be dead by now, for sure. So, what they didn't know is the attorney actually gave me copies, her attorney, of all the pages. And I don't think her or her attorney knew that they gave me pictures of all the pages. So later I did figure out, they questioned me on the stand without the judge knowing that all the reasoning. And in court, I had your mom on the stand, and I asked her what caused me to be so upset. She claims she didn't know, which leads me to believe she either instructed or knew that her attorney withheld those pages that said exactly why, because I believe in there, I don't remember the exact wording. I tell her, you just kicked the living hell out of me, and that is too much. I don't know, those aren't the exact words, but so, I did reference, exactly what happened. In family court, she sat on the stand and said she absolutely had no idea why I was so upset. Well, if she turns over these papers to her attorney, well, she obviously knows why I was upset. The thing that's going to probably catch your mom in criminal court is she's gotten away with stuff for so long, and she's so good at lying that she's arrogant enough to think she can get away with anything. And right now I'm going over what she said in family court and getting my attorney stuff that shows that she was just outright lying. Which is all going to come back to haunt her. So, anyway, she withheld that information, and I later found it. I later did give it to the family court, so the family court knows, and now the criminal people know, but they're hiding it. It will still come out anyway because my attorney has it. One thing that's going to be hard to understand is how this case even went forward. But the prosecution is withholding well, that will come out. I'm not going to really go into it. Ooh. Oops, the camera fell. Now, I said some pretty hateful things in those texts. I want to be totally honest with you. But as I'm sending these texts, all I'm thinking is this just has to stop and that I couldn't take it anymore. And a lot of that was just to show her how upset I was. A lot of that was because I was really angry, but also a lot of it was trying to tell her, look, this has to stop. Trying to communicate in any way possible, because I've been telling her for a long time, this has to stop. But it wasn't getting through. And I just felt that day that I had to do whatever it took to get through to her because it was so life-threatening to me. Now, in family court, it also came out that I had sent, in the 2 years prior to your mom making accusations against me, I had sent letters and emails and text to your mom's parents and your mom's aunt, begging them to intervene to stop the abuse. They started out nice, and they got really awful at the end. I just kept getting progressively angrier at them for not intervening, because this was their daughter and their niece, and they were really the only ones to help it. And everyone always tells you in life that in these domestic violence situations or abuse situations, that people should help you. And the very people who were supposed to help me weren't helping me. So that became very frustrating. So I got pretty ugly there as time went on, getting angrier and angrier at these people who were supposed to help me. More so your mom's parents than her aunt, your aunt. But unfortunately, I only have the later letters. I don't have the earlier ones. But at least the letters do show that I was going to your mom's parents and aunt for help, and that I told them about the abuse. Now in court, they said things that were pretty unbelievable. Your grandparents claimed to have never read the letters. So did your aunt. Said that she never read the emails. And that makes no sense on its face. There's no parent that, if they received something regarding domestic violence in the home or any kind of conflict in the home, that doesn't even have to be domestic violence, but just conflict in general, there is no parent that wouldn't talk to this about, first to their own child, and then to their child's spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. There's no parent that wouldn't. At the very least, they're going to talk to their own children. But in court, at least in family court, and your grandparents may try to change this, and when we actually go to court, I really don't know. I don't know. I think they just want to stay out of it, so they might not lie. They're not going to help me, but I don't think they're going to lie. I hope not, at least. But in family court, they claim that your mom never told them she was abused. She wasn't, not even the slightest. And that there were no signs of abuse. So they never told they were abused, there were no signs of abuse. And both your mom's aunt and parents said that. They didn't help me at all, because they denied even reading the letters, which is just silly, again. But your mom's aunt also came to the home after I wrote her one of the first emails, talking about the abuse. And she came there to console me, find out what was going on. But in court, she claimed she didn't come there to console me or to find out what's going on, which is nonsense, because there's no reason for your mom's aunt to come during the day when your mom is at work to talk to me. She never stopped by the house any other time ever. Never been over to our house a single time we were together, but yet came when your mom was at work to talk to me. She never explained in family court exactly why she came, if it wasn't to console me or to find out what was going on. But that was so hard for me to deal with, and I didn't react well to it. You know, family members not intervening, and not supposedly not questioning what was going on. Now, your Mom took you every Wednesday over to her parents to be for them to watch you for the day. And then she was over there several times a month, and on birthdays and holidays, and stuff like that. So she saw her mom all the time, and we're closer than most kids are for sure with their parents. Your grandparents only lived about 2 miles away. So this idea that her parents wouldn't know exactly what's going on is not believable. So that fact should help me in court. I am sorry that I threatened your mom, but she didn't take it seriously. I know that. She did leave that night after coming home for several hours. But I think that was more out of a punishment for me. And at that point, she had already stolen all my money. Your mom was never afraid of me. Whatever she tells you, or whatever she's going to tell the court, she was never afraid of me. About 6 months into being married, she took all my money. I was disabled when we met, of course, and I had $50,000 when we got married, and she took all $50,000 from me I don't know exactly when. I noticed it maybe about 6 months after we were married. But when it was actually taken exactly, I don't know if it was taken before the initial abuse or after. I'm not really, initial physical abuse, I'm not really sure. The mental abuse actually started even before we were married. For a couple years, and just kept getting progressively worse. The physical abuse didn't start till early 2017, or spring of 2017. And I did, after the physical abuse started, I became very verbally abusive with your mom, which I shouldn't have done. But the only thing I can say to my credit is I went the first 2 years of the verbal abuse of just trying to talk to her and telling her we can't be doing this, she can't act like this, it's gonna ruin everything, it's gonna ruin our relationship. Just really try to talk to your mom. And I try to talk to your mom a lot in order to get her to just be normal with me. I would in fact tell her, just treat me as good as you treat your coworkers. That's all I ask. You don't have to treat me special. I wish you would, but just at least treat me as good as you would your coworkers. She just couldn't do it. Not even close. Whenever she was verbally abusive with me, she would promise to stop abusing me. But it was so often, and I'm not talking just occasionally, but she would promise to be very abusive and then promise to stop. And literally the very next sentence was something verbally abusive. She couldn't go even a sentence, 10 seconds from apologizing to not being verbally abusive again. And it was mind-boggling to me. You just said you were going to stop, and literally the very next thing you say is abusive. She apologized me in our relationship hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times to stop abusing me, whether it would be about the verbal or the physical abuse. So anyway, she stole the $50,000 from me. I eventually learned about this, and I had her sign. At this point it was late of 2011. We weren't even married a full year. And I was like, as much as I wanted to stay married, I realized that this marriage is probably going to end. So in preparation for that, I sat down with her at the computer one day and I went over exactly how we were going to divorce, how we were going to get custody and all this. And this becomes relevant for two reasons later on. Somewhere in this journal she kept, she says I threatened her that she could never leave the marriage, or I would kill her or murder her or something along those effects. I don't remember exactly what she said. This journal is very hard to read, so I've only read it once because it's just so disgusting. But this document shows that I was okay with divorce. Now, the problem she was probably not okay with is she didn't really want me to see you after we were divorced. And that was part of the document, was that I was going to be able to see you during the day while she was at work. I was going to take care of you during the day, wherever I was living. And she didn't like that. And that's probably the reason she kept the journal and why she's put me through all this hell. Because she could easily have divorced me. But that wasn't enough for your mom. Your mom has to have complete control, as I think I've talked about before. So that's in there. The other thing in there is also she's going to have to pay me back the $50,000. Now, I kept this thing in my nightstand next to my bed. And she must have taken out the day of or a couple days before she got the restraining order. But she, it was not there once I got the restraining order, so she destroyed it. Now, I didn't know this until I got even out of jail, and I was in jail for a year, not having been convicted of anything. You can do that to poor people, especially in Riverside County. If you can't bail out, they just put you in jail and you just rot in jail. It doesn't matter if you're guilty or not. You just sit in jail. So anyway, she lied in family court, and she said that she never stole any money from me, let alone the $50,000, which is outrageous. Oops. Okay. So she lied in family court, and that's going to come out, and there's just so many lies that they're going to teach people just how bad she is with lying. Sorry, this stand keeps falling down on me. And I suppose she thinks she can get away with it because she's gotten away with so much. And this only scratches the surface of the lies that are going to come out. So I think it's going to be, I don't know how your mom's going to deal with it. I really don't know. But forget what I was thinking. So, before I forget, I'm trying to send you presents every week, as I said. I'm sending you a card and a present every week. For your birthday, I got you these 3 horses and their riders from your spirit riding free show that you like. And then in Christmas, I got you a music box as one of the gifts I got you, with like a unicorn in it. And then you've always watched this Tinkerbell show, which you love. So I found something on Amazon that kind of puts all 3 together. It's a fairy on a unicorn, and I thought you could play with this with your other horses and kind of make up a story. You know, if I was there, I'd play the horses with you and I'd make up a real nice story for you. We'd have a lot of fun. I've never seen you play with any of your toys, which makes me sad. I've never been able to play with you, which makes me even sadder. I'm doing this every week, and I don't even know if your mom's going to be able to give you any of these cards or any of these presents, which hurts a lot. And then if she does give it to you, it hurts again, because then you're going to realize your dad's not there. There's really no way, with all this going on, that you're not going to be hurt. You're going to be hurt because you later learn you could have had me in your life and I wasn't there. And your mom hurt you in this way, was willing to do this, willing to hurt you in order to hurt me, in order to get what she wanted. Or you're going to be right now realizing I'm not there, which is going to hurt you as a little girl. I have a hard enough time dealing with my own pain, both physically and mental. It's even worse for me to deal with the mental pain you're going to be under from everything you're going through right now, or everything you're going to learn later on. I was hurt so much as a kid, and I know how damaging this is all going to be, and this is even probably more damaging than what I went through. My parents were abusing me bad, but now you're going to have to deal with just a conflict between your mom and me, and one parent saying one thing and the other parent saying the other thing. Now, if you don't know right away, as you get to know me, I think you're going to know that I was the one telling you the truth. You're also going to see kind of what your mom puts you through. With all the lies and control, you're going to kind of just start catching on how much she lies. That you're going to realize exactly what happened. So in the long run, everything I hope will be okay, but it's going to be a horrible process for you. I just wish your mom wouldn't do it. She could make this all much better right now, and you probably never have to know any of this if she would just start letting me see you now. But she never plans for your future, and that's always been very hard for me. She's smart enough to know the devastating effect this is going to have on you. The fact of the matter is unfortunately, she doesn't care what that effect will be. Everything's probably fine now, or relatively fine now for her. And for you, relatively, I guess. I mean, you should have so much more now. But the problems this is going to cause later on that can easily be avoided, she won't avoid them. I think that she's be able to control the narrative so well so far and be able to lie so well so far. She just thinks she can do that forever. It's just not the case. That's just one of the emails I just sent to my attorney. So I'm going to go over the other one. I sent it a couple days ago, the second one, but I don't know when I'll make a video on that. Probably in the next week. But these videos are getting very difficult for me. I don't know how I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to try for your sake, just so you can see kind of that I was there every week for you. Even if I don't make these videos every week, because it just becomes too emotionally hard for me. You need to know I'm going to keep sending you the presents, keep sending you the cards so you know I'm there. And I'll try to take pictures of them when I remember. I forget half the time to take a picture of what I'm sending you. Just as I have to keep remembering that you're not going to be, your mom probably is throwing all this stuff, or at least all the cards out and all the gifts, she's not telling you where they're coming from. And she's even bad enough she might not even give you a lot of the gifts. So I got to keep remembering to either get them on film or take pictures of the cards and whatnot. And I forget so much. My memory's just horrible. I'll try to go, I'm going to go into this briefly. I don't remember if it was in the last email I told my attorney this or not, but I've been on chemotherapy drugs since 2013, which exhaust me. I've also been on intravenous immunoglobulin infusions for my neurological disease since even before then. And I take a drug called Namenda. It's for dementia and Alzheimer's. I don't have either dementia or Alzheimer's, or at least if I do, it's extremely mild and it's well controlled by this drug. But I do have memory problems, and they're really causes a lot of problem when I'm under stress or abused. When you have neurological damage like I have, you're under constant just physical stress. Forget the mental stress. But then when you add the mental stress to it, it has a profound impact on your memory. Profound. Especially when you're in the midst of being abused, you can get very confused. You know, when I was in the midst of the abuse, I would often walk into a room, not know what's going on, or look at your mom and not even know her name. And I'd be like, I know this person, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what her name was. So they work fairly well, very well in the short-term memory, and pretty well with the long-term memory, as long as I'm on them and not under stress. But I'm dealing with those, you know, I'm taking 7 different medications, you know, one for blood, a couple blood pressure medication. I'm still taking my blood clot medication. I take an antibiotic because of the immune system problems. I'm having a hard time working out. I'm making it about 2 to 3 times a week. I'm trying to work out so I can be around when you're older. I love you so much, Grace. I'm going to end this now, but realize that I'm putting myself through this and making it through this only for you. I really don't enjoy living at this point. Living with this much pain and this much mental anguish of not seeing you, it's very hard. I'm going through it, and at times I don't think I will make it through it. But I'm going through it because of you, because of the hope that there's some promise that someday we'll be together and I can hug you and kiss you and laugh with you and play with you and teach you and do all these things that I, as a person who's very much a daddy-focused person, family is everything to me. I lived so long with your mom, trying to tell her the importance of family and trying to convince her how important family was. And that's another reason I stayed with her. I always kind of try to create this dream in my own mind of a family. And I just thought, since family is so great, that if I just talked to her enough about the importance of family, she would just agree because she's a smart person. But the psychology there is not going to let her do that. All right, I'll make another video next week. I love you, I miss you. I hope you're okay. There's nothing I can do to intervene. If anything's going wrong now, there's nothing I can do. If I contact your mom in any way, I go to jail. So it's just futile. So I could contact her and try to talk to her. One, it wouldn't help. Now I got someone coming up on me. I don't know why. But in any case, now I've lost my train of thought. I can't control your mom. What she does is inexplicable to me. I sort of understand it because I understand her psychology now, a psychology I was not really willing to accept for years. I kind of knew, I hate using this word, and I don't mean it to upset you. And I don't mean it to actually even be particularly mean to your mom. I say it just because it's just factually true. Your mom, I believe, from what I've read and what I've seen online, is a psychopath or a sociopath. Now, how much of either one I can't really say. I'm not a psychiatrist, but you can't ever change, from what I've read, how a psychopath acts, or what a psychopath does. It's just so ingrained in them that there is no one teaching them that. And I made the mistake, even after I realized she was a psychopath, of thinking I could teach her a way out of that, a way of thinking out of that, which you just can't do. So I fully accepted, I've accepted this now for a while, but I fully accepted there's no way a marriage between us can work. And I've had to accept it now. There's no way I'm actually ever going to be able to talk to her into doing the right thing for you. She just can't do it. She cannot put you before she puts herself. And she can't let go of the need to control absolutely. It's just not within her power to do so. It's almost like she doesn't have free will. At least that's how it works out. She certainly does have free will, but it works out that it's as if she didn't have free will. She's going to do what she's going to do, irregardless of who it harms. And I tried to convince her it was harming even herself, and that wouldn't stop her. It never stopped her. I never been able to convince her to stop her from doing it, to stop harming you. But I can't go to her directly. I'll go to jail. I can't get anything done through the courts. At least while my felony case is going on, I'm just stuck. I can't even go back to court because I've been told explicitly nothing's going to happen if I do. So I'm stuck living in a different city. I'm trying to get back to Corona so when all this resolves, I can be close to you. I'm just stuck with absolutely no control of the situation and just no way of protecting you. Now, your mom up to this point has not physically abused you. And my thought is she wouldn't do that, but then again, she's done all these other things that I never thought she would do. She's always does stuff that you just would not expect. As bad as she's been at all these different points, I never thought she would keep going farther and farther and farther. So it's so hard for me to know exactly what she's going to do. So that you're going to be physically abused is a worry of mine. And it's only because I don't know what she's capable of, and I've never been able to anticipate what she's going to do because it's just so out of the realm of my thinking or what I would do or what any normal person would do. I just have to keep hoping that she wouldn't ever do that. I can't tolerate even the slightest form of abuse. I don't believe in spankings or anything like that at all. So it's like, I don't even want her to be spanking you, but I don't know, again, I don't know what she's capable of. And I don't know what goes on in her mind, so I don't know even now exactly how she thinks about these things. I wish there was some way I could protect you. And all this may not even come true. And actually, I hope it probably won't. And I hope it doesn't. But anything is within the realm of possibility with your mom. And social workers won't protect you. The courts won't protect you. The courts are protecting a domestic violence abuser and putting a domestic violence victim on trial. So that's just how bad the courts are. And the prosecutors know at this point that I was the abuse victim. The family court judge knew I was the abuse victim, and yet the family court judge gave custody of you to my abuser. The system's just so messed up. I love you, Grace. I'll talk to you next week. I really missed you on Father's Day. It was heartbreaking for me. I laid in bed all day. I'm overwhelmed. But I'm just going to bear down and just going to take it. It's what I've been doing for so long with your mom. Everything related to your mom, I've just been taking it, and that's honestly all I'll ever do. I'm probably never going to change. I just have to take the abuse. I'm so sorry for what your mom is doing. I honestly didn't think she would do all this. I mean, at no point before I had you with her and she got pregnant, did I ever think that we'd be in this situation, or I wouldn't have done it. But to be honest, if I had to go through all of this again to have you, all the abuse, the jail, the physical pain, the mental pain, if I had to go all through that all again, even to this day, I would have you. There was nothing that would ever regret me going through all of this for you. I love you, Grace.